Good people, welcome to our today's episode where the Vimis, we have the privilege to host a very important person, a very important figure in our society who specifically deals with the therapeutical issues. And being a Men's Month where we are going to focus on men's mental health, we got a privilege to have her here with us so that we get to have a discussion and have a grasp of the existential issues with regards to men. And I think I would have this privilege to officially welcome her. Please, welcome to our channel.
Thank you.
My name is Michael, and it's a privilege to have you here.
Hi, good people. My name is Sophie. I am a psychotherapist specific to mental health issues. For today, I am also a mother, a friend, and a woman. Karibuni.
Asante sana. I think it's going to be a very interesting discussion because kwanza mmesikia amesema she's a woman. Kumaanisha like we are just but beginning the discussion and she has already begun taking her own side. I don't know how it's gonna go, but anyway, we look forward to the best. Unajua hapo ndo warembo ukosea by the way because it's a men's thing. But in the process hata kama tunaongelea vitu za majamaa bado like kwanza a specify dunia ijue kuna mrembo area. Mazee kwani hii form ni aje?
I have to be known by whom I am.
Si majamaa ukosea wapi. And I think guys you are really welcome to get to follow up with our discussion today because having it in mind that this month is Men's Mental Health Month.
Right.
Kumaanisha kwamba ni mwezi ambao tunajaribu kuangalia vitu ambavyo vinawahusu wanaume. And in our current society, men have been neglected. Long time ago, we used to say that the girl child has been neglected. And I think I personally feel that with regards to everything, it is turning to be completely the opposite.
Right. Because
the slogan and everything is changing because it's now the boy child that is getting to be placed at the periphery. Those days it was like, hey, maze, warembo ndio wameachwa because hadi siku hizi unacheki jo, kwanza bibi nimekuja hapa tu na kamati, nimepanda kama tatu, nikakuja hapa mazee, lakini unapata kuna warembo wanaendesha vitu serious huko nje, lakini anyway that is that. Let's back to the main topic of discussion today. So as we get to begin our discussion, I think we are going to put into consideration a few things. Number one, we will get to use English, Swahili, and a little bit of sharing so that I think we get to accommodate every Tom, Dick, and Harry because I think our content is targeting to reach out to everybody. And we would like everybody to get to know this. We would like everybody to get to be sensitized because it is something that is affecting the livelihood of the people. And people don't talk about it. People don't discuss about it. People actually have not paid a lot of attention because you even go to social media platforms, you realize that men would be there, would be part of what is happening. But people are actually not paying attention to the situation of the existence of the boy child, specifically men. So I don't know, but let us see what happens. So the first thing that I'd like us to talk about, right. Sophie, something that I'd like you to guide us as a professional, something that you've done for a while. First thing I'd like you to help us go into the discussion deeper is with regards to the current men's situation. How can you get to talk about it? Like, what is the current men's situation? And as per your personal analysis as a therapist. Yes,
well, currently, it's not good. I mean, the rates of suicide, leave alone just suicide, mental health issues are higher for men compared to women. Yeah. And I think that's been the case for this year, last year, the year before that. It's always been men, suicide cases wanaume ndio wako mbele, you know. And on a professional perspective, maybe what I can say is the reason this happens is because, one, as a society, as a country, we're very culturally, enabled as a country, right? And with that, I feel like most cultures already brought our men to not feel, or rather to not express how they feel, right? And so with all that society pressure, with all those, we're not supposed to do this, we're not supposed to feel like this, men are unable to express how they feel. Men are unable to get someone to talk about too, right? And I think that would be the most concerning issue. That would be the biggest problem that men are experiencing, that they cannot talk about it. And even if they have someone to talk to, they don't know how to do it, because society has taught them that wanaume atuongeleangi vitu kama hizi, you're a man, especially that word manner. And yeah, I think that's where we are currently.
But could it be because you women, ninyi wanawake ndio mwaweza kuwa mnatusababishia hivi vitu vyote au vipi?
How so?
I don't know, because if actually it goes without saying that men end up not speaking out, or they end up dying into themselves. So who are the next creatures next to them? Definitely they are women.
Right.
So could it be a question of women are the main cause of this? Or what exactly? From a professional point of view?
Are we though? We are not the main cause of, your mental health issues. Maybe what I can say is, for us, back to culture, back to societal, ways and norms, men don't talk about it. Us women are not, we've not been raised to, see a man at his low points, right? And maybe I think that is one thing I, as a woman, and, my fellow women need to work on. Because for us, it's, you're with your man because he's giving you this. He's, putting you at a certain level. Up until hayuko sawa. Sasa saa zile hayuko sawa, where you go to the next person who can provide for you. Because I feel like that's what we have been brought up, and which is also wrong, to think, that men are like machines. They give and give and give and give. And when they're at the lowest point, they do not have someone to talk to.
Yeah, that makes even me to get to ask to our fans, because there is this mentality kwamba kazi ya majamaa ni provide. Kwamba majamaa ni kama ni machine, the work of men is to provide. But I think at the comment section, I think our dear followers, if there's somebody who is really following up, I think that should be one of the things, from my own personal point of view, that makes men feel that actually there is no need for them to speak out. Because if women get to consider us as machines, as providers, and they are just but receivers, we lose the whole thing.
Yeah.
The whole idea of existing in our society is all about reciprocity.
Yes.
Kwamba tunafaa kusaidiana ili tupate kuishi vyema katika haya maisha. In everything, mwanaume anafaa kusaidia mwanamke ili tupate kukua na amani ya kimawazo, utulivu wa mawazo yetu. We need to support each other. And I think, to me, that would be a way out. I don't know, what do you think would be the way forward to such like problems? How would we go about them?
Well, first of all, I think one thing we all need to agree on is hakuna emotions za madem na za machali, right? If you're sad and you're a guy, or if you're angry and you're a woman, the feelings are the same, right? So why not deal with them the same way? Why not approach them in the same perspective, So when we say talk about your issues, we're not saying women talk about your issues. We're saying any person who is going through something, talk to someone, right? There's one thing that men don't like approaching, therapy. I think wanaume wanasikianga therapy wanasikia kuhepa.
Hata mimi mazee ndio story lakini.
What is it with you and therapy? Because I personally highly advocate for it. You know, because if you're too scared to talk about your issues to a friend, being worried that your friend is going to talk, you know, to someone else about them, why not talk to someone who is actually bound by profession, bound by contract, and they're not going to tell your issues to someone? What's so wrong about that?
It is really interesting because sometimes wanaume waamini mimi ndio engine kwa familia. Yani in a society setup, mazee si ndio tuko, si ndio tumebeba kila kitu. So kama mimi niko na mind, niko na attitude kabisa kwamba najua mimi ndo kusema, mazee mimi ndo naona ni consider kila kitu kwa home, like I do everything. Then what will benefit me going for therapy? And actually there is this question that makes me feel like it's very important for us to have this discussion today, because I'll be like, how many men even know that this month is a men's mental health month?
Yeah.
How many women have helped us men to come into realization that this is our month? But when it comes to the women's month, so to say, mazeti sipongeleo story yo inakuwa ni kesi. For those ones who are married, it becomes like a serious problem.
Right.
For those ones in relationships, unaona jamaa anakasirikiwa, anafuriwa ni kama endo. So how do you go about this? It's a big problem.
It is a big problem, yeah. I think for us women, we need to be able to, and now I'm speaking not as a psychotherapist, but also as a woman, be able to be selfless with the love that we give. The love we give, or rather the support that we give, shouldn't only be when we are being given something, right? So that, you know, when it's a month like this one, we can be able to celebrate our men how they need to be celebrated, you know? But also, because you have thrown it to me, I need to be able to throw this back to you. Because we women make it very clear to you men how we want, you know, things. Buy me flowers, buy me chocolate, buy me this and this and this. But you guys don't tell us how you want to receive all these things, you know? So I don't know how to be able to support you. Maybe my form of support is tukaivi hadi story isha, you know? Hadi usikie ni kama depression imeisha. Maybe that's how I know how to give you, you know, the support. So how about you guys start telling us how you prefer to be given the support in your time of need?
No, you see, for us, it's not a big problem. It's not a big problem, but by the fact that you guys have misconceptually put us to a very unnecessary status that we are meant to provide, and what is the need for me to come back to you? It defeats logic. Ideally, then we make the whole thing lose meaning. But we are here to try to make more sense.
Right.
That there is actually need for us to address this issue. There is need for us to get to sensitize and make it a realization to the men that is the highest time we discover ourselves. It's the highest time we get into ourselves and know that actually we shouldn't die into ourselves, because men are dying every day, not because of anything. Oh, this reminds me of my late dad. May he continue resting in peace. And I think you'd hear men, nothing else, at the old age, they're dying of blood sugar, 1, 2, 3, old age complications. And actually, that is very interesting, because you'd hear all these complications are mostly affecting men. Why? Why? Is because we men actually now is the highest time we need to come into our senses. And that brings us to the second subject of discussion.
Right.
Actually, it automatically takes us to the second subject of discussion, where we're going to look at the societal attitudes towards men. What attitude does the society at large have towards men?
Yeah.
When it comes to the preferences of men, the do's and the don'ts of men, what does the society, what attitude and impression does the society have, more specifically women and other men have towards us as men in general? What do you think from a professional perspective?
Well, one, I think society has put a lot of pressure on men, a lot of pressure. And, I think going back to what you said earlier about women are, how you said that women are driving bigger cars right now compared to what men are driving. And maybe looking back 20 years ago, there was a need to empower the woman, right? And it worked. It worked perfectly. But somewhere along the way, maybe our fathers, our mothers lost track of, okay, we were empowering the woman, now we've left the man behind. So he's still expected to have, the same standards he was supposed to have 60 years ago. And now the woman is like 60 years ahead, right? So you're expected to have a car and get into a relationship with a woman who already has maybe a bigger car or two more cars than you do. So society has honestly neglected the boy child. It has.
Absolutely.
It has neglected the boy child, and maybe there is need to uplift one another, because it's going to take a lot to just say as a society, let's go back to the boy child. But maybe let's hold each other's hand. It starts with me, it starts with you. Uplift your, your fellow man. So yes, society has put so much pressure on the boy child, and it's become so materialistic, because it's not the kind of pressure that's telling you, your mental health should be 100%. Ni ile unafaa kuwa sijui na gari ngapi, unafaa kuwa sijui na nini ndio uweze kusettle. So while you're getting all of that, raise your mental health, because si ati utafanya hivi pesa ikam. It's coming with a lot of hard work, it's coming with a lot of effort, and sometimes things fail. So how are you handling that? How are you handling all of that while you're getting overwhelmed, right? And I think we see it almost every day. Even with, me and my girls, when we're talking, and he's like, a friend would be like, hey, but I'm saying, and someone's next question would be like, anafanya kazi wapi? So what happens to this person who is not working? What happens to this person who doesn't have a car?
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, their mental health needs to be taken care of.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think that brings me back to something. Because we're talking about the societal attitude towards men.
Yeah.
I remember reading one book of a great philosopher called Gabriel Marcel. And this book talks about, it's actually a book that has a French title called Être avoir. Être means being. Avoir means having. So when you get to contextualize the reality, like Gabriel Marcel is trying to bring to the society that there is a big problem of being and having in our society. What does this mean? Like, people get to value you and consider you worthy based on what you have.
Right.
And that is why women would say, hey, man, before I get to do this, hey, please tell me, what are you able to bring on the table? And I think that is where, does it make sense to you?
As a woman or as a professional?
As a professional, does it make sense to you?
It does not. As a woman, as how I've been brought up, it does.
Okay, that's really interesting. I want to know that, because I'm not finished my argument.
Right.
I'm going to come back to you.
I think it's, as a woman, my father brought me up, or rather just looking at how we were raised, my father always brought home the bread, right? He's the one, fine, tulikuwa tunaenda ku complain school fees kwa madhe, but bado ako like, enda kwa baba yako, right? He's going to pay for your fees. Or rather, you need something, enda kwa baba yako. Not that my mother was not in a position to, but maybe my father set the standard that I, as the man of the house, should be able to provide for this family. And so, as we grew up, he taught us that as a man, as you find a man who can provide for you, find a man who can protect you, not just in the physical sense, but from certain vulnerabilities, and those vulnerabilities include poverty.
Thank you. I completely agree with you,
Yeah.
but I think the place that we're not taking the same lane is with regards to that point where you support the point as a woman.
Right.
Now, let me finish up what Gabriel Massal says that we are all human. That is the first premise that he says. We are all human. Poor and worthy men and women are all human.
Right.
And therefore, it follows necessarily that as a human being, get to value us and understand us based on the substance that comes out of me, not based on whom I am or what I have. And what does the golden ethical principle say? The golden ethical principle clearly states that do to others exactly what you expect to be done to you. So does it mean that when you get to ask from me as a very good potential husband or wife, or rather a potential boyfriend to somebody, you get to interview me and ask me, hey, what do you have? I have all the personalities and the qualities that calls for me to be a husband, a boyfriend, or somebody, a partner, anything. But I'm not materially available. I am not materially capable. Why then come with a mentality? I think we need to get to change this mentality and attitude, because even in my poor situation, we can use that state of poverty to make ourselves better. Right. And that is what the society should know. I don't know. What do you think? Does it make sense?
It does. It actually does. And maybe that's where we need to work on as women, to be able to accommodate the man who has and the man who doesn't, materialistically. Maybe take it back to focusing on personalities. And I feel like maybe our fans will not agree with this, but I think going back to, how our parents met, if you try and remember, it would be like they started from scratch. Absolutely. Both of them. Wewe ulikuja na kikombe moja, mimi nilikuja na moja, we started like that, But right now you want your man with his fully furnished house. Oh, when tu na nguo zako, And I feel like that's enough pressure on the man. It is. That's enough pressure on the man, because he needs to keep this house fully furnished. And you still want your nails to be done and whatnot. Yeah, we need, on our side as women, we need to know how to support our men better. I agree.
The other day I was just watching, there was being a show, and they were talking with them on Facebook about something very interesting. And they were having a discussion, and I think they were talking about one common celebrity. I don't exactly remember the name. As well, I would keep the name for the sake of professionalism. Right. But in the process of having the discussion, there was one of the characters who was specifically talking about, she was a woman, and she was like, no, we're not going to do this. I'm not going to do a man who doesn't have something on the table. Right. But where did even that thing that you got in, did you get it from heaven? Did it come down from manna like did it come down from heaven like manna? No, it didn't. Right. It had a ground. And so if we want to change this society, we have to come up with the idea of creating something out of nothing. And that is why there is even this guy called Jean-Paul Sartre. Unfortunately, I think I read a lot sometimes. I'm not a reader, but at times when I decide to read, I think So there's this guy called Jean-Paul Sartre. He wrote a book called Being and Nothingness. And in Being and Nothingness, he tries to reconcile the reality that exists between light and darkness. So when you refer to that, it's like a rich and available woman is like light, and the poor guy is like darkness. How are we going to reconcile these two realities? Right. How? Like, you professionals, how do you handle that? It's such a big thing. It's such a big thing. Yeah. People don't want to talk about it, but there are things that need to be brought down to the table. We bring them on the table and we discuss, we talk about it. Because at the end of the day, there are things that are really affecting. And putting in consideration, guys, our fans, this is a men's mental health month. Meaning that is a month that at least, hata kama warembo hawajaituona kama tuko kitu, lakini at least huu mwezi, mazee somewhere, hebu uliza demu wako, uliza mke wako, uliza mume wako, mazee kama hii mwezi ya majamaa, umekumbuka kweli? Pia sisi watu consider, watu value. Hiyo ndio pia sisi tunataka. Tunataka place yetu, tunataka pia watu consider tu sisi ni wasee kama nyinyi. Because ikifika time yenu mnataka kutupatia, mnakuwa na mood swings hapa na pale, ndio tupate mna create tu attention, to unnecessary attention, ndio tupate kuwapatia attention. Sisi pia tunataka mazee. Si ati kwamba we want to be that childish, but for us to have a stable mental health, it begins with such like simple things. That is why in a relationship msata atasema sana sana nyinyi warembo, unajua nini mnakuwa hizo vitu ati vitu tudogo tu, lakini tunaleta issue, usipochunga tunaweza leta shida sana. Vitu tudogo, lakini ni venye mnataka mtu wape attention, ndio sisi pia tunataka mazee. Vipi unaonaje story?
Well, I think it's important to value each other, rather to value the man in as much as we women want to be valued, right? Remind your man once in a while that he is valued. Remind him that he is worth it. Remind him that he is enough. And maybe that's the little that he needs to keep going, right? I mean, you guys are not asking for what we're asking for. You're not asking for chocolates. But I think, it's important to tell your man that he is enough.
Wow.
And by man, I'm not just saying your partner. Remind your father that he is enough. Remind your brother that he is enough. Remind your son, your friend. What you're doing is enough. We see you, we hear you, and I think you should know that you're enough.
And I think you're really into the final question of our discussion, where we actually talk about Men's Mental Month. And in Men's Mental Month, we are trying to find a solution.
Right.
Not a solution, but a way forward. It may not necessarily be a solution, but what could be the best way forward from a professional point of view and from a livelihood point of view, where we talk about the real situations, the real experiences, the real things that happen in our society.
Yeah.
What is the approach? Anyway.
Well,
you had already begun it anyway.
I had
already. You're already in the process. You had already begun it, and you're really bringing it out very well.
Right.
Actually consider, yes, know that, make them feel that actually, yes, we are doing something. We are enough. Yeah, please, I want to feel that from the bottom of my heart. Yes, please go ahead. Yeah.
Well,
yes.
Hapa sasa ndio nitasema ni kazi kwa wanaume.
Kazi aje?
Kazi kwa wanaume, because remember when I mentioned therapy and you cringed? Yeah.
I know.
Let's go back na kidogo. Tuguzie tu hapo kidogo. Because I think people have the mentality in mind that therapy is you're going to get advice, right? Or you're going to just go sit there, tell your problems, and then this person will tell you how to, handle your life. And maybe that's a huge misconception, and maybe that's what has men decided that, me and therapy, patani. But maybe if they understood that therapy is purely, you going to get solutions for yourself, just that you need someone to hold your hand once in a while. And maybe it would be okay. Because it's the same as you going to tell your friend, this is this, and this is happening. Just that it's on a professional and confidential, manner, right? So men, consider therapy. It is not a bad idea. Personally, I go for therapy, and that is how I have my mental health checked. I go for therapy. I talk to someone. Hizo vitu zote nimesema hapo. You guys, if we talk to someone, men, go like this. Why is it so hard for you men to talk about your issues?
We are today is on the 11th, right?
Yeah.
On the 16th is a very big day for men, for fathers. What do you tell women out here? Because it's a very serious thing. They really need to be aware of this. Before that day, they really need to understand that this is the beginning. Like therapy begins with a single step. It's just like a journey of 100 miles,
Right.
beginning by a single step. So what are you going to tell women also there? That it's on the 16th, is a very big day. It's a serious month for us, for women, and it is always notified 3 months before that. Men should be aware it's a big day for men, it's a big month for women, and like we need to pay a lot of attention. What about us? Where do you guys place us? So what are you going to tell them? What are you going to tell your fellow women?
Well, remind your partner, remind your friend, remind your son, remind your father that he is valued, right? And not just by word of mouth, it's a simple things, right? Understand how this person likes to be supported, understand how this person prefers to be loved, and do it. Because if your man understands that you prefer chocolates, so what's stopping you from knowing what he prefers? Right? So, kazi kwetu wanawake, this is the month we make a difference. So
Absolutely.
yeah, this is the month we make a difference. Love,
This is the month we make a difference.
support him, show him love, remind him that he is enough. Najua huwezi enda job ufanye kazi yake, but you know, support him how he prefers to be supported, you know, show him love how he likes to be loved. So yeah.
Absolutely, and I think that makes a lot of sense. And a concluding statement. Once our fathers said in Swahili, tunakumbuka wale wahenga na wahenguzi. Mababu zetu walisema kwamba samaki mkunje angali mbichi. Na ni jukumu lenu ninyi kama wanawake, isije ikawa ningalijua wakati ni sasa.
Right.
Turekebishe hali ya maisha. Let us try we make steps so that things get to change and be different. Let us have a different attitude. Let us have a different approach to life. And I think that is all that life calls for. And that is what is expected from each and every one of us. And that will make something, that will make a difference. That will make a difference. And it will completely make sense. And that is why, our dear fans, today we call all of you to get to be sensitized and aware that this is a very special month for men. And that on the 16th, women will look forward for your mental support as the beginning of therapy. Let us not evade, let us not skip therapy. It is a very good thing for our growth. The longer we live, the more healthy women you people become, because we are backbones, we are support to each other. In as much as other people get to be convinced that we are not, we are all sentient beings with feelings.
Right.
And we need each other for coexistence. And that is why we would say a life is made complete through coexistence. Coexistence is very important. Just like Soren Kierkegaard would say, we exist because of coexistence. Thank you so much. It was nice hosting you here. Our dear fans, please keep following, keep subscribing to our channel. We will always bring you the best, and we look forward to bringing you more content. Thank you so much, and we look forward for your support, as we will be there waiting for you guys. Thank you so much.